Okay, well, welcome. I'm April Sullivan. I'm the Artworks Director for ArtSpark Texas. And this is one of our community conversations. We've been having these at least twice a month, sometimes once a week, just whenever we can find an interesting person to speak about themselves, what they've been doing. And we try to keep it related to what's been going on at ArtSpark. So Silva has invited Antoine Hunter to speak, and he is a dancer and someone that was taught a couple of recent classes for elements, if anybody was joined that recently. And let's see, I'm going to put the captioning in the chat again if people need that. And we also have interpreter Sharon, so watch her tile for interpreting. And I think that's all I have for now, and I'll turn it over to Silva.
Hey everybody, welcome. My name is Silva Laukkanen. I am the Director of Integrated Dance at ArtSpark Texas. And like April said, I have invited Antoine Hunter, who is an amazing award winner, choreographer and dancer from the Bay Area. He's the founder of Urban Jazz Dance Company, as well as the International Bay Area International Deaf Dance Festival, which happened last weekend, right? For the 8th time. So he taught our elements classes this month, and now I'm happy to get a chance to chat with him, with you all. Please feel free to raise your hand for a question, write a question in the chat at any time when we are talking. Let's have it as the name says, community conversation. So at any point, if you want to ask any questions from him, please do. And I have asked Antoine to do something evening stretching movement types to start this community conversation. So I'm going to hand it over to him.
Hello. This is Antoine speaking. I invite you to feel the energy that's happening around you in the body. And so let's start with taking a deep breath in and let it out slowly. Now in deep breath in and out. I invite you to do a circle movement, a circle shape going in a circle.
That circle movement, you move your body in a circular motion. Now just move any parts of your body that you would like in that circular movement. Make circles with your arms, with your head, with your fingers. Move everything into a circle. Now let's change shapes. Let's move things into a triangle. Move your body into triangles. Beautiful, beautiful. So now let's incorporate some of the elements of the earth. This is the sign for fire, like this. So let's incorporate some of the fire into your movements. So have, be on fire with some of your movements. Put fire into your movements. Now have a small fire. Now let's move into water. This is the water, as the water is flowing and moving. And you've got the water going over a cliff and just moving. Beautiful. Now we're going to go to the next element, which is wind. Let's have your body move in the wind. You decide how heavy the wind is. Is it a light wind? Is it a heavy wind? Now you're at the earth. And be part of the earth. This is the sign for earth. You could be a tree.
Okay.
Or a volcano. Be something that relates to the earth. Find your center. All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you. So my first question is, Antoine, how did you end up becoming a dancer? What led you to dancing?
Really, you know, they say I started dancing as I was born. I danced out of my mother's womb. But dancing, I mean, as far as being a professional dancer, dancing on every day, or just body movement, well, which do you want to know? So, like for me, I do both. I don't necessarily need a stage. As a professional, yes, you work, you have to be creative, you have to have interpretive meaning of your dance. If someone doesn't understand me when I use my voice, I try to use my dance and my movements to express. Because that's also part of communication as a whole, is who you are. Now, as far as just feeling as a healing for myself, there are other people who will then understand that. So working as a professional dancer, using technical ballet, modern jazz, I do all of that as well. And I love to dance, and I love to help people with their art through dance and being involved and getting into different groups. And then that's what caused me to become a professional dancer, in order to help others elevate their work.
Oh, so is that also why you decided to start Urban Jazz Dance Company?
Yeah, really, it was kind of interesting. People who came to my dance classes, they were ready to dance. And it was interesting because I had a lot of opportunities for people to dance in the class, you know, all over the world. And some people were like, hey, you know, come dance with me. And then as we're on stage, the announcer would look and be like, why does it say Antoine and his dancers? I know Antoine. He teaches at the Urban Jazz Dance Company, but so they would announce Urban Jazz Dance Company is here to perform instead of Antoine and his dancers. And I hadn't created the name of this yet completely, and that's kind of where it just started. As you know, the world wanted there to be this dance company, and you know, to be honest, and to be part of the earth and the war and where the earth lands. It's, you know, it's amazing to have these wonderful dancers.
So you talked a little bit about, you know, doing the traditional forms of dancing and then the healing type of a dancing. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Okay. Sometimes I like to use my voice, and sometimes I like to sign. So this is Antoine speaking. You know, really, technically, dance sometimes really help people to connect with themselves or with the community out there, because sometimes words, it's not enough to express what we're feeling. When we're feeling something, the words that are always articulate the clarity of it. But movement, yeah, it does sometimes. You know, it brings a voice to myself to identify what's happening with my body, what's happening with the environment, or to communicate with, maybe if you're a spiritual person, with your ancestor. Because even if you don't know about your history of thousand years ago, sometimes when you move, it brings back the history and tradition that's already in your DNA. You start to connect with the past to go on in the future. For me, that's wonderful healing, because we're always trying to stay connected with every part of us. You know, I think that the process where your body holds a lot of toxic when you don't move, you know, if you have a bad day or you're in a strange environment, you move your body and the toxins start to release from the body, to break down. I think it's really important to have that. And then you said about, um, which is, I think I'm trying to remember your question, healing, and then,
The traditional like ballet world or the jazz world, like the more this world that doesn't necessarily actually is not healing at all in some cases, can be actually quite hurtful and isolating and totally separate.
well, allow me to say that there's so many people have the different vocabulary that they can be connected to in movement. In ballet, some people love it, and it's some kind of thing where they feel healing through ballet, even though it's not a very normal traditional movement. You do pirouettes, aerobat. I remember my whole body feels so sore, but it feels so good, to do ballet. It's not really considered something that we do every day in the movement, but um I get to be something different, a different kind of bird, a different kind of animal that's using different structure and the technique. But ballet definitely does a lot of movement that overwork the body, so we have to take care of the body, in that way. Um, Modern child, so things that usually oftentimes connected with choreographies and things like that, you know. Um, and sometimes story, but both worlds related to healing can be connected with story, can be connected with the work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a question in the chat. So in a week and a half, I start remote teaching my 3, 4, and 5-year-olds who have disabilities through remote teaching. Do you have any ideas for working with my young friends, particularly to support their social emotional needs? So it's in a special education classroom. Do you have any good, I mean, you do a lot of educational work.
Yeah, I've been teaching for over 25 years. I really love children. Usually they are my teacher, you know. Sometimes I ask them, you know, today you feel what? You know, how do you feel today? And so they say happy. And then I ask, so what's happy movement look like? And so they do happy movement. If you're angry, what's angry movement look like? And they do angry movement, you know. And sometimes I say, wow, you show me happy movement. You know what that look like? It look like another dance like called what? African dance. You know, North African dance, you do happy and you move in that movement. Yeah. So just to stand for happy, or you put your hands together and you, maybe my interpreter could do it better than me. Yeah.
Two flat palmed hands up against your chest and move them in an upward motion with your fingertips tipping the top of your chest up into the air.
Mm, and so also in African dance, we do the same movement. You know, sometimes Hawaii does as well. But for me, traveling around the world, all ages could do that. Yeah, Bailey, the show, angry, and you know, just time for being angry. It's one of the biggest games I have for my teachers at ESL American Sign Language to really help me to connect with the shoulder as well. It's very expressive, and that's what dance is too. It's a communication to express. So I really care about a big space and an environment for children to be able to move around, make sure it's safe, you know, make safe space. And so that the emotion goes wherever it needs to go. I don't need to worry about the chair or a table that's in the way. You know, so a lot of time in places that have those, a lot of pillows come to my games. You know, make sure everybody's okay. You know, let me see. I play with many things. You know, with this disability, some people think that means limiting. No, there's no limit. You know what I mean? You ask people what you want to show, and then I add that to my syllable, you know, my criticism to have that as a daily practice. You know?
And
So yeah, that's what I do.
Thank
That
you.
makes sense?
I also remember like I when I interviewed Adam Benjamin and I asked him, when did you start dancing? And he answered, I think the question is, when do we stop dancing? Because we all dance and move as children. And then somebody starts to say, oh, no, 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 that is not the way. Or when we start to have our bodies changing and all that is not talked about, and then you sort of stop. But we all dance as a kid. Um,
I
so
believe
those
that.
are, yeah, those are wonderful ideas. Also, I wanted to ask you, when you start creating a performance with your dance company, do you take, like, how does that process start? Do you have a theme and you explore the theme physically, or do you take movements and then sort of work the movement to bring the idea from the body, or how do you create your work?
It really depends on what we're going to talk about. My dance company, we talk about the truth on earth. Yeah, so
The truth
um,
on earth?
if it's something that the truth, TRUTA on earth.
Truth
Yeah,
on earth. Yes.
yeah. We tend to try to share things people don't want to talk about, or they're not really hearing people what's happening in the world, whether it's about environment, whether it's about things like deaf people thrown in prison. Why? Because oftentimes they didn't have an interpreter to speak out for them, you know what I mean, or to explain what's going on. So it's a lot of confusion, and when a deaf person, you know, being investigated, they're usually just thrown into the prison immediately because there's no communication asset. So I would interview different prisoners, interpreters, lawyers, and then take their story and write them down, and then incorporate into the movement. I even learned their own sign language because in prison they have their own language of communication, you know. And so I incorporate into the movement, have a dialogue, and I want to be realistic as possible to identify their truth in the movement and share their story. It was one woman who talked about she wasn't getting her medicine needs because there was no interpreter to explain her medical condition inside the prison. And so, wow, she was talking about how much she was stressing. And so I would incorporate the movement, how much she would and stress, you know, and something that felt like things were going on with her body, that she felt like she was on fire and things like that. I listened to the description of her emotion and her feeling and incorporate in the work. And it's very, not a very always light, happy thing. Sometimes the truth can be really, really dark. But guess what? Sometimes darkness, when we share with people, brings light. Yeah, because we want to make change. We say, why that woman doesn't have access to her medication that she needs in prison, and that. And so it gets people aware. It was one person who came to the show. He worked for a juvenile, all women juvenile, and he saw that. He said, "Wow, we need communication access for two girls that's in the juvenile center, and he provide interpreter. It changes their heart. It opened them up, and no one wanted to talk about it. But now he started dancing. He was able to talk about it and provide assets in their location. I don't know how it went, but I have a strong feeling it made a movement. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I do. Oftentimes, I don't start with the music. I start with, the music, right? I start with the movements that people need to express from themselves, and then I incorporate the music later. Um, it's always just a major journey because we never know what the spirit of dance going to give us. You know, my work is never just really small. We go an hour and a half, so much nutrition to get. If that makes sense.
That does. I'm glad you talked about the piece that you made about the prison, because that um, was something that always interests me. How did you end up starting that work? But it sounds it came from sort of like an advocacy point, an access point.
Yes, I do. I do because for me, dance saved my life. You know, I was trying to communicate in words again what they were doing justice. So when the dance was a way to communicate, I want that to save as many as life as possible too. I know what it's like to feel left out, not feel be a part of the world, you know. So after it was just a wonderful feeling to be a part of the world. It's just a wonderful feeling. You have a space where we can all move together, connect together. So once I went there, I never want to go back to the lonely place. You know what I mean? I wanted to have more friends from all over the world. Um, but sometimes we just have to do educate, educate, educate. That make the bridge, for us to connect. Uh, I use sign language in my dances, you know, to show people, yeah, language is important, in that community too. Yes, of course. We're a intelligent being. I am deaf and I'm proud of that, you know. So I want to show that in our work. Um, there's so much things that we talk about. Um, we don't just do flashy dance, No, we want to do something that uplifting and inspiring. I remember one dance called Power Girl, and it met, because sometimes they say, "Oh, girls are weak and supposed to do that. You can only do this, do that." My dancers, they come up on stage and they pump the bicep, flex, and they move around and they show push up, they turn, they have all different unique, different superpowers to show. And I was still, my audience, different girls, young and older, would stand up and say, I'm strong too. I love it.
Is that one of the reasons why you decided to start to make a big festival for the International Deaf Dance Festival, was to bring more people together and grow this community of artists that you were, and this place that you feel that is not alone, growing this community and dance family? Was that one of the motivations for starting the big festival?
Yeah, I remember traveling around the world and then someone said, "You're the only deaf dancer in the world." I was like, "No, I'm not." No, I'm not. I'm blessed with different opportunities. One time in one part of my life where I was dancing for 8 different dance companies and I was teaching at 13 different locations at the same time. I was so blessed that the schedule always worked out. Sometimes it was conflict. I was like, "Oh no, what am I gonna do?" But it was like that show was at 4 o'clock, and then the other show was at 6 o'clock. Perfect, nearby. I'm safe, you know. But I was blessed with that opportunity, yeah. And I wanted to provide a safe place for us to dance together and that we can learn from each other. Um, the first year I had someone from UK that heard I was going to do a festival, so they flew all the way from UK to America to dance. And so it was really wonderful to see other cultures. They had their own different sign language than American Sign Language. They had BSL, Buddhist Sign Language, and American Sign Language. Completely different, almost backwards a little bit. And I was inspired. And then, wow, just the 8 year, every year was always an international that flew in. So I had to, it started off with the Bay Area Deaf Dance Festival. I had to change the name. International, yeah, to add that. It
Ah,
was just beautiful to see deaf culture within other culture too. And we learned some of folk dance or hip hop from China or different magnetic experiment from Fadula to do movement. I mean, it's just always beautiful. Again, for me, a little bit like, how do I say it? What's most exciting for me about that festival personally, I get to learn 8 different languages and sign language, you know what I mean? It's so cool. I don't have to try to speak it, but sign it. It's wonderful. Um, there's just rich history of learning other kind of culture. It's beautiful. Um, everyone I noticed, okay, many people that are local, American, or international, when they come, sometimes they're coming from a place where they feel so isolated and, the struggle to feel happy about being themselves as a deaf person. But when we come into that one space, it is the celebration of who we are as human. And when we leave, we're like standing more than ever. But that's our language. And many times people call me, they ask me to help them create a show there in their town, and I do the best I can.
wow. I want to say that in the chat, Brandy says that the Bay Area International Deaf Dance Festival has changed my life. Nice to have you here, Brandy. So you're doing so much. What is there to do anymore, Antoine? What are you going to do next?
Well, I just finished, like you said, what that 2 weeks ago, that 8th year, the Bay Area International Deaf Dance Festival virtual. Wow, the coronavirus hit, we couldn't come to the same space, so we had to figure out how to do it online, and we did it. On one side of the screen, you see American Sign Language. On the opposite side, you see International Sign Language. On the bottom, you see caption, but the caption is written for blind or people with lower vision. Yeah. And then they have a channel about for Spanish, audio description, English to hear and listening. It was just really amazing. And then in the middle, you see the dance show from all over the world. It was really amazing. I've never seen anything like that. I'm very grateful for the team to help me make my dream come alive. And with a lot of people who showed up for 3 nights in a row, that was for the evening. Yeah, 6 p.m. at night. But during the day, we have workshop for 2 hours, 2 hours, and then the last day 3 hours. And they were live from different parts of the world: Colombia, Padula, and India, New York. It was so wonderful. The sign language was also in Spanish and Colombia sign language. I will say I'm just very blessed to have the opportunity. I don't want to stop doing that. It wasn't easy and it wasn't cheap. It required a lot of support and funding to make the dream happen. You know, and they talk about grassroots people always making it happen. You know what I mean? And I feel, very confidence in the future can still have light even in the dark time. We just have to continue not to give up and believe in our dream. We have to believe in our dream. We have to believe in ourselves. You know, it's okay to be sad and happy and angry, but don't stop your dream. So what's next? I'm gonna do another show in November. What I mean? Another show in November is gonna be like a conference and dance show. I want other teachers like Brandy, I believe, to be able to teach, you know, and show their process. We need more amazing teachers out there to teach other people. I'm a student always, and I want to learn more. You and so that will be in November. Be ready to look out for that one.
Is it going to be virtual?
It will be virtual, definitely like a virtual conference. Yeah, I have never seen anything like what I'm visualizing. So be ready. It'll be something different. Yeah.
Where did that idea come from to organize a second big conference festival?
Well, I think I always wanted it in person, but I think it was a bigger inspiration to, when you have the idea, you're like, what is close to that? What could be actually close to that? I saw it at Dance USA. Yeah, Dance USA, they had the conference, and it was like, yeah, I was right. We can do it. Well, I saw many things that I was comfortable about access. We need more access, though. So it was that idea was like, how do we create more access virtually? Because things like you know uh, different platforms were not really made for blind or people with lower vision, or sometimes many platforms were just made for hearing people. That's it. You know, so we have to create our own platforms for access for everyone. You know, we'll see what I'll make later.
Yeah, I cannot wait. Brandy, I don't know if you're willing to speak, but if you are, I would love to hear you tell more about how the Bay Area International Dance Deaf Festival changed your life. I don't know if she's here.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry to put you on the spot.
That's fine. That's fine. First of all, I am so happy to be able to catch into this video. Antoine is my I'm like his biggest fan. But so I remember 2016. I was in college. I'm a deaf dancer also. I thought I was the only deaf dancer. That's it. Antoine said, most people think you're the only deaf dancer. I thought I was the only deaf dancer. And I was in college and I was having a hard time believing in myself that I can really do this. First of all, college was the first time I actually started learning technique dancing. So I'm coming in at a late age, trying to start ballet, modern, jazz, tap, all these hard technical dancing. And I was very discouraged and I was very isolated. It was very hard for me to see that I can really become this dancer that I really want to be. And then 2017, February, no, right, maybe November 2016 of November, someone said, "Hey, have you seen this guy on social media?" And I'm like, "No, who?" And they showed me. And I look and say, "Wow, there's another deaf dancer out there. Oh my God, I have to meet him." So I messaged him on Instagram and say, "Hi, my name is Brandy. I'm a deaf dancer. I would love to meet you one day." And so he responded back and he was like, "Hey, how about coming to our Bay Area Deaf International Deaf Festival?" And I was like, "Oh my God, really? Yeah, come and show your talent and show us what you have." I thought I was on top of the world when I was invited by him. But of course I was afraid because I grew up in a hearing world. My family pushed me to be very quote normal, the hearing person, but I really had a hard time accepting my deafness because people pushed me to be normal. So I went and I was afraid because I was like, I really didn't learn ASL because my family didn't want me to learn sign language. They pushed me to talk. They put me in speech therapy. I went to mainstream school, and I really didn't get connected into my deaf community. So I really didn't know a lot about the deaf community. Going to the festival, I was very afraid, but I said, I know a little sign, but I'm gonna try. And when I got there, I felt like I was home. Like it was a home that I was supposed to be at a long time ago because there were other deaf dancers like myself, and some of us shared the similar stories of, you know, being suppressed of using sign and communicating and being pushed to be hearing. And so ever since that moment, 2017, August, I went back to school in the fall, and my teacher thought I did like a 360 change, big transition because my confidence boosted up really big. I danced like the world didn't matter. I danced like I was supposed to be there, and I know who I was. So I've been dancing from. But I graduated 2018, BFA in dance, the first deaf dancer in my college in Arkansas. This is where I'm at, and I now own my own deaf dance company, and I've been going back to San Francisco every year just to be a part of that festival because that's the only time I get to really connect with other international deaf dancers, that we come together as one. Like Antoine said, we don't come together as strangers. We feel like we come together like family, and it's always a wonderful experience every year. And Berkshire this year was awesome because we still trying to stay connected, even though with the pandemics and the stuff that's going on. So Antoine is now my mentor. Like I look up to him. He helped me out in several ways. He tells me some good advice. So I appreciate and I thank him for opening up the doors and opportunities for other deaf to understand that we can. And he always say deaf can dance, and that's what we can. Thank you. Thank you for letting me express myself.
Thank you, Brandy. I love that story every time I hear it. There is also in the chat some people saying thank you so much for sharing. And Lynette is also saying that your story is making her cry. It's very beautiful. And Leanne always saying it's awesome and inspirational. Thank you, Brandy.
Thank you again.
I wonder, Zana is here as well. Would you be willing to talk about your experience as a dancer and you're an assistant director? Antoine, is Zana available or is she still at work?
I have no idea what you're doing.
Okay, well, if
I want to amazing system for the Jardin company, and also the chemistry and the point ballet. So there you may have a lot of hats switching, you know. I'm well, uh, things like Brandy. Brandy, when she introduced me to her, so it was really wonderful, you know, to say, hey, is it okay to be deaf and deaf? Of course. You know what I mean? You know, and to invite them to the Bay Area International Deaf Dance Festival, it was just a blessing for me too. You know what I mean? To see people grow. Her sign language, wow, it improved so much. Her voice in the art grew so much. Now she wanted a teacher in Texas, you know. I mean, oh wait, in Little Rock, you know, and teaching for deaf children. So what does that mean? You know, we gave opportunity for children in the future to be deaf and dancing. You know, I was small that age for, you know, age 5, 4. I didn't have that opportunity. I didn't have a role model. So, you know, to say it's okay to be deaf and dance while everybody was talking about you need to be able to hear and dance. I was trying to tell people dancing doesn't start with your ears, it starts with your heart. Yeah, many of us dance without music. It's what we're feeling in the heart. We got the rhythm and the beating. You know what I mean? And so that's what's up. Dancing starts with your heart, not your ear.
there is a question in the chat. Where is your dance company located? Is it in Austin?
No, we're here in the land of baloney. Yeah, we're here in the Bay Area, Oakland, California. We like to come to Austin for barbecue. Yes. We love Texas barbecue. You know what I mean? But we come once in a while. We hope after COVID hit, we'll be coming more. But I try to hang out as much as I can virtually with the community. You know, it's beautiful out there. So, but it's hard, definitely. But you guys have the best air conditioning, AC. You know. You know what I mean? I'm born in Oakland, California, home of the Black Panther. My dance company is also in San Francisco, across the bridge. You know, and it's just been really wonderful to see how it grows there in the Bay Area. And I'm hoping that it will be growing all over the U.S. We did another deaf festival in San Diego. We did another one in Turkey. Uh, we try to do as much as we can because we know that every local or state, every country, when they grow, I also grow too. You know what I mean?
Yes, we have plans because we have the state school for the deaf in Austin. So there is these massive, beautiful plans to bring Antoine to Austin to teach at the school. Hopefully these dreams come true. But you said that you got to dream. You got to dream. So here I am dreaming.
You definitely. I can't wait for more barbecue.
Antoine, there's this rhythm thing that you did. It's something like I'm black, I'm deaf, and I'm proud of it. Do you know what I'm talking about? It has a rhythm. It's really lovely. And I wonder if If you know what I mean, if you could do that for us live.
No, I don't. I'm trying to
There
remember.
was like a little dance. It was like, I'm black and I'm proud and I'm deaf. I need to find that
Yes,
video.
I did. I was thinking, yeah, I was really working on a project, and I was like feeling my James Brown moment, say it loud. And then I said, yeah, I wanted to add, depth to it. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't just separate that from my identity. So I said, say it loud. I'm black and I'm deaf and I'm proud. Hey, say it loud. I'm black and I'm deaf and I'm proud. Boom. That I wanted to celebrate, because sometimes we struggle. People try to split our identity. You be deaf over here, you be black over here. For many who don't know, I'm also Chinese and Blackfoot and African. I don't want to separate that. I want to put it all in me. And I'm deaf, Well, just using dance and art to communicate with the world. That that's one. So I was using that inspiration from James Brown, one of my models. He said one of the one thing that can solve most of our problems, and that's dancing. You know,
Ah, now I know where it came from. I didn't know. I just loved it when I saw the video. It made me want to jam. I know Olivia had a question. We a little bit talked about it in the beginning. Here is Anna.
Hello. I had to connect off of my phone and onto with my phone because I needed to have a camera. So it took me
Oh,
a
yes, yes, yes. Okay. Well, we kind of answered that question earlier. But I also want to say this recording will be put on our YouTube channel and you can access it from there. But Zana, welcome. Will you talk a little bit, how did you end up working with Antoine and with Urban Jazz Dance Company?
So how did I get involved?
Yeah.
It was a while ago. I thought I was the only deaf dancer, and I was the only deaf dancer with a hearing group, and I always felt like I wanted to try to connect in my language with the dancers. My dancing language, yes, we definitely connected, but not in my deaf culture language. And I wanted to be able to connect. So when I moved back to San Francisco from San Diego, that's when I started going to Antoine's classes. And he had invited me to be incorporated in the second Bay Area International Dance Festival. I was elated. And just seeing all of these different deaf dancers, deaf artists who were having similar experiences that I did, who often they were the only deaf artist within their company, always having hearing companies that they worked with. It inspired me to want to be in that place with people who were more like me. So I knew that I needed to invest my time and my support into this group. So I would go to classes, I would take Antoine's classes. I didn't have all the responsibility that I have now immediately. It took some time for me to get there in order to show him my commitment, my support. And then over time, I became a rehearsal director for the Urban Jazz Dance Company. And then I became the assistant director. And I think that that's been since 2015. So it's been 5 years now that I've been the assistant director. And I enjoy it so much. It's not only a place to find others like me, but we really are a family. it's home. It's home. It's a place where you can integrate art, deaf community, deaf culture. And now we include hearing people. Any individual is welcome. Everybody is included. So yeah,
Um,
hope that answers your question, Silva.
Thank you.
Sure.
we try to have a group of people who want to express themselves with word, or movement. And so I invite people to join the company. Sometimes people with different other disabilities, not just being deaf, but maybe some dancers, they see things like going right, but they move left. You know what I mean? Well, we want to have a safe space where we continue to practice who we are. You know, it's really wonderful because I get a lot of amazing minds. They're all amazing. And Dinah herself, like I said, a chemistry and a dancer. You know what I mean? We get to talk science. It's really, really fun. And I really appreciate having Asian, having African American, having, diversity in our company that really believe in the same mission. So I'm very grateful.
Yes, it's 8 o'clock. It's time. I think that's a great place to also end. Thank you so much, Zana and Brandy, for jumping in. I just put you on the spot.
Thank you.
Everybody saying thank you in the chat, and Lian is also saying beautiful, Zana. Thanks for sharing. Thank you. It was so wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, everybody have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to our ArtSpark Texas funders, Texas Commission on the Arts, National Endowment for the Arts Creative Forces, St. David's Foundation, Cultural Arts City of Austin Economic Development, and Reeve Foundation Quality of Life Program.